What have you done? What have you done?
Now, Abbot, sir.
He stands up, looks almost ready to jump out through the back of the tent.
I smile as best I can and say, now worry not. We have come to a good arrangement. We are going to be as nearby as we can to make sure that if he did decide to do something untoward to you, he will pay for it dearly. But he's assured us that he just wishes to...
Well, he will still have had time to do something untoward towards me.
He's assured us that the only interest he actually has in you, my dear boy, is signing some papers, which... I pause for a moment and sort of look to Veruca.
Just hear him out. If you don't want to sign anything, just say that you are not in authority or that you need a signature from someone of us, alright?
You can sense, all of you, that he will jump if this goes sideways in a moment's notice. I would actually say that you probably need to roll something for this to make him stay.
I will roll for Inspire Courage. Yep. And as I said...
Oh, man.
The argument for doing this is that we will be just outside.
Yeah, okay. And you can at least keep... Alright then.
I have all intent to stay with you, of course. I don't see you. I was not part of your brokered deal with this ruffian. I don't think we should leave the good abbot by himself.
He sits down again, and I would prefer if you all could stay. But if the deal is that only I will be and you will be outside the tent, then I suppose that's how it's supposed to be. And you can hear the lieutenant saying, "Yes, that was the deal, you know.
But
I have orders."
Dark is ever present, and I should be there to...
If Dark is ever present, I think that we already have a good witness to this signing, yes.
So as the lieutenant does that and the soldiers stay outside, I think I'll converse a little bit with the soldiers as he goes.
Absolutely. He goes inside, the lieutenant does.
Well, he needs to, of course, leave his weapons outside.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, he most surely does. He takes off his sword belt, leaves the shield, leaves the spear, even takes out the dagger he has in the belt.
I was going to say I actually watched that quite carefully just to see any slight.
You can roll for alertness.
And as he does, I walk up to the lieutenant and press my dark crucifix in his hand and ask him to swear to not do harm unto the abbot in the name of Dark and Milargok.
Of course, he says, with the biggest wolf grin you've ever seen.
No, you swear. A proper oath.
He takes the crucifix in his left hand, lifts his right hand, and I swear upon all the prophets and all the saints and everything else that I will not harm the abbot for anything, and then gives you back the crucifix. You can roll for detect lies.
Meanwhile, I got a 7, so I see nothing.
You don't notice anything strange about this.
I get 14.
14 is very much more than what is needed to see that this guy is probably up to something that is not nice. He is up to no good towards the abbot and will break his promise the first chance he gets.
I cannot let you in.
But really?
Really?
I just swore a holy oath. The abbot's okay with it. We've finally done.
He's not okay with this, and if there's something I have learned during all the years as a chaplain, it is to see when people are honest and true in their words towards Dark, and you, my good sir, are not honest in this situation.
The lieutenant stares you straight in the eyes and looks like he's trying to memorize your face.
I have a quite piercing gaze.
You can sense that he's more uncomfortable than he would have hoped to have been, and he backs away a little and says, "Then the deal is off." Looking you in the eyes, looking you in the eyes, looking the abbot in the eyes, and looking at you, he says, "We will see each other again. But not today. Let's go, boys," he says. And you can notice that he almost changes his dialect when he says, "Let's go, boys," the final words before he leaves the monastery grounds.
I look at the father like Ronis. Goodness me, what was that about?
He was not honest. he was planning to bring harm onto the abbot. I'm sure of it.
Well, of course
As
he
sure as
was,
I-
Father. We all are aware of this. Bless your zealous goodwill, and you have saved the abbot this day. But of course, we knew that and were ready to spring upon him the second he was away from his men, so we could find out his motives, which unfortunately now we will never be.
I could not let him into the tent with the abbot alone. That would have meant that there would have been no abbot at all after that.
A dagger to his back the second he was in.
All right,
Fire.
then this is that it is. What we have now is an abbot that is. It seems you were right, abbot. You were right. This was unfortunately a man with bad intentions, and it seems, abbot, I'm sure. Let's not play too much games around here. That you seem to have some extra riches on the side. I do not blame you for this.
Well,
And this seems like this is quite personal. It's not about you or the church, is it? It's just about you.
It's for the good of the church. Obviously, it's for the good of the church. It's for the good of our order. I have acquired a bit of extra, cash on the side from
And would you consider donating this towards this gentleman to avoid any further troubles, or how far would you go to protect this asset?
I could certainly donate it if I could have a guarantee that it would mean he does no harm.
Very well. I think if we could open and be completely honest, as we are going to be with you, we will also be with him, that we know about his current situation. We know that this is not real, and we know that he just wants the money, and we can come to a sort of perhaps more open affair, more honest affair.
Or even better, although your dear does have merit, Camilla. The truth is we have to acknowledge who these men are. You are, of course, correct, Father. They are brigands, bandits, breaking the laws of our Lord, and really, all proper soldiers should be called upon them for their execution. We do not have the time or the numbers for that right now. However...
I'm sorry, did you say their execution?
They are pretending to be people they are not, in the name of our Lord. They are extorting money from his civilians, and, of course, they are, well, unpleasant to look at, to be honest with you.
The abbot stands up, walks outside of the tent, looks around, closes the tent flap, says, "Is it possible that you could act as executioner?"
Well...
I have noticed that they have very lax security at night. And, well, it's obviously self-defense, which is acceptable to dark, I would say. Is it possible that we could come to an agreement
that is a
here?
very loose interpretation of the Lord's word.
Well, it's... in this case, they would either kill us, or we would, it's...
You
I would
are
definitely call it
forgetting,
self-defense.
Abbott, you're forgetting the second party. We need to assess their situation now. We've done the best we can. As I said, I would have liked to have used you and Father. The goal was to find out as much information as we could. We unfortunately will not know who they work for, why they really are here, or where they are from, but we will adapt. Let us seek the other individuals, for maybe they could help us.
Abbot Hugo, is there...
That's quite true. I just... Please, when you talk to them, implore that I fear for the safety of the monastery, of the monks, well, obviously for myself as well, but...
Abbot Hugo, is there any truth behind the claims you have, that you haven't really acquired the land you're working on?
No, obviously not.
Do you have the proper deeds?
Yes, of course I do. I mean, it would be impossible to create this size of an organization without doing all the doing all the proper preparations, I would say.
Veruca, have you had time to look at this?
Yeah, he does.
He does.
But
just time out there.
Yeah.
Have you actually looked at the books? Have you had time to do
I
that?
haven't.
No. It would be if you could, of course, get the Jargian Knights to help. It would probably increase your odds, obviously, and I would be very happy to give you a good recompense. I would be very happy to pay you quite handsomely for this. the safety of the Orden is worth more than all the buildings we could possibly create.
Doing the righteous work of Dark and Milagok is not in need of any monetary reward.
Well, the great prophet Milagok said that we should suffer. He did not say that we should die. Whereas I believe you follow one of the other 3 prophets, maybe Udar, who claims compassion or some such thing. We would... it would not benefit either us or Dark, or so that if you brigands and ruffians are...
Abbot, my dear man, I hold a hand up to sort of silence him. Your ramblings are most informative, entertaining, but at the end of the day, unnecessary.
And very unbecoming of an abbot.
Exactly, I actually agree with Father for once. We are going to go now, and we are going to do our further investigations. You remain as you are, and we will consult you later.
It's not like I have much of a choice. You can hear him mutter while you leave the tent.
Goodness me, Carmilla, the man could talk a house down.
This entire gang of ruffians would hang at the noose at a moment's notice if the Lord were to know of them. If it is true that what he says, that we could come upon Mr. Jonah, Caderson, was it?
Yes, a Jonah was the name we were given. Lieutenant Jonah.
Very good. This is definitely a wanted ruffian. And yes, the gang that he is representing, they would all be wanted brigands.
The only issue I had, of course, was maybe overemphasizing my own skills that we could defeat every single one of them today, and if we leave to get the reinforcements or men, they will be gone. I believe we really need to investigate this artifact more and see if we can get the other 10 knights on our side. I know it is not quite their field, but perhaps if you can spin something for the service of Dark, they are his servants after all, aren't they?
Well, Arven's hammer.
And I'm quite interested to see if we bring these knights to the abbot's doorstep. What will he say then? How much will he pay them? I'm so intrigued. Fellas, I'm so intrigued.
I'm glad you're finding this amusing.
I wouldn't mind speaking to these Arven's hammer.
Commonly known as the right hand of the Inquisition.
Well, I still...
I'd be interested to know what the Inquisition, what dealings they have in this area.
I think when it comes to the ruffians, if we cut the head of the snake, the rest will disperse as well. There we go. That's my piece of salt group. Let's go and meet the knights then.
I will assess the books in the meantime.
Yes. You can all hear your stomachs giving a huge rumble as you go. It's probably somewhere around 5:30 at the evening. As you go 500 meters towards the more organized encampment. You can definitely see that this is done with military precision. The tents are in perfect order, 90 degrees angles everywhere, and the the guard posted there is not hanging on his spear. He is standing correctly, shoulders perfectly aligned with his back, and says, "Halt! Who goes there?"
Hail, friend. We are here in the service of Lord Olen, here to speak to your superiors, to aid assistance in your matters.
Very well then, may I see some proof of identification?
Of course. I hand him my letter of proxy.
It seems to be the correct seal. I will have to ask you to leave all your weapons here.
Acceptable with me.
Yes. You don't seem to be armed, I suppose?
No.
Oh, well then, please, I will take care of them in the meantime.
I allow myself to be disarmed.
Yes, of course. And you walk inside the encampment and you see a good cooking fire with a few pots boiling, and you see a huge tent in the middle, even with a separate foretent, I believe the English word is, so that it's 2 rooms. You see a bunch of horses on the side, wonderfully bred horses of war. You see a few others, squires fixing their weapons, polishing their boots. And you see in the middle of the encampment a large table in front of the largest tent. On it, a few maps. And there you see a 25-year-old woman in full armor, looking down on the maps, looking up at you, saying, "Mm-hmm. May I be of assistance?"
Do I know anything about these guys?
Yes, you do know that the Inquisition mainly does intelligence gathering and spying, that sort of thing, while when there's actually a heathen army that needs to be crushed, that's the job of the Avonshammer. They go around most of the known world, just as the Inquisition does, make sure that noblemen pay their tithes. And
would gathering
so forth.
artifacts really be their thing?
Yes, it's very likely that this is one of the things they do. The young lady looks at you and says, "Yes, can I be of assistance?"
I smile and nod, and then I look to Carmilla.
My lady, a pleasure to meet you. We are here, as you can see, representing Lord Demars.
Yes.
And we are simply here to negotiate the conflicts that are in the area. We want to make sure every party leaves as satisfied as possible. We've discussed with the abbot, and we understood that you are looking for a specific artifact, and that is your...
Yes, that's quite true. Yes, obviously. My name is Kulima. I'm one of the two squires here for the Knights Carensis. He's unfortunately fallen a bit ill, staying in his tent. So me and my colleague Cefoni are doing the formal business right now.
Wilma, yes. Giovanni, it's very nice to meet you. I am Carmilla.
Carmilla, yes.
This is my friend, let's say business associates rather. And you have been searching the monastery, as I understand?
Yes, we have been through it there once. We were not allowed in a lot of the tents or the parts and so, but yes, we have done what we were allowed to.
You were not? That's interesting. I thought you would be able to search everything.
Yes, that's what we thought as well, but we are not Knights of Demaria, we are Knights of the Yargian Empire, formally of the Church, but we do not want to cause a conflict between our two great nations, obviously. We do not want to anger the Lord Amazolan.
Oh no. And the Lord himself has no interest in such an artifact. So
Indeed.
We can assure you that this would be something that we would be happy to alleviate.
Well, the abbot himself said that he knew both Lord Damas Orlem and even Grand Prince Thamas personally.
Oh, that's very interesting, because that would be a lie.
Indeed.
Yes, or rather, an interesting stretch of truth, as the Lord has never mentioned knowing the abbot before. Again, of course, I look to the priest. Perhaps our dear abbot has just a faulty memory. You could identify with that, can't you?
I'm
What
sorry.
do you imply?
You told me yourself. Lost around the monasteries. It doesn't matter, Father. What I'm saying is I'm sure there's reason that the abbot is misinformed. He's not lying. But, yes, I can assure you that he does not have much high esteem with the Lord.
Might
Indeed.
So, before we get any funny ideas, we would be happy to make sure that you get to search everything, of course, and see with everything.
Wonderful.
But how are you so convinced that this artifact in this area?
Well, we do have our sources, and we do listen to rumours.
Surely that's not
I
all.
would not like to go into the specifics of how our Order of Knights operates, because the secrecy is a part of it, after all. But we do have our sources, whom we trust implicitly.
Very well.
we heard rumors about this artifact that you claim it might be of demonic
Quite
nature,
true. Well,
or I mean, given the history of the great nation of Demaria, do you actually believe it's somehow linked to the past, to what went on here not too far back in the time?
I would not be the least bit surprised. The rumors we've heard is that someone has found one of the ancient demonic magic artifacts from the Great War of Elves and Dwarves here 2,000 years ago or more, and that they are... This is an ancient weapon. Some kind of entity is within it, and with it... Who
And do
knows
you
what can be
know-
done if we are a magic user?
Do you know the shape of the artifact, how it would look?
Only by description. It's a large bronze mirror, 5 by 5 foot, and that's all we know. I can't really say that there should be a lot of other similar objects in the vicinity.
Forgive me, just for a mild question. How could a mirror be a weapon?
Well, if it houses a demonic entity, it probably could be used like one, yes.
5 by 5 foot, that's quite a
That's
massive piece.
large, yes. Probably heavy as well.
Not easily stashed away either.
Most certainly not. However, we have heard from different sources, different places, that someone is looking for a buyer for a very similar artifact, and that the contact information was to a certain Abbot Hugo here.
Implying that the abbot is either
very interesting.
purchasing the artifact, or he's the one who'll be selling it.
That he's selling it, or at the least bit is searching for it in hope of finding it very soon.
Or he has already sold
I
it.
am most certain he has found it, otherwise he would not be looking for a buyer, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Have you had any correspondence with this other gang?
Oh, the soldiers! Pfft, no. No offense to the great nation of Damaria, or Lord Amasolem, but if they were part of a Jargon Legion, or, God forbid, our Orden, they would not last a day. Just look at them.
In the interests of honesty among true followers of Dark, I'm happy to inform you they are not soldiers of our Lord.
Indeed.
They are impostors and, I believe, proven wanted men. And to be honest with you...
Wanted men?
Wanted men. And it would be...
Wanted for pillage, plunder. I could go on a list of at least 10 charges that would all see them brought to the noose.
Indeed.
And I think it would be in our and our Lord's interest to dispatch his real soldiers there and dispatch of them, but this is not within the time frame of our current operation.
But you are certain of this?
There is no doubt.
Because they are wearing the uniforms, so to speak, for a given value of very.
The esteemed Carmilla here is a renowned thief catcher and works for Lord Damas Olem. Our colleague Veruca has verified that the document.
Who is this colleague Veruca?
She's an accountant, currently occupied with the books back at the monastery. She has verified that the documents that this said Lieutenant Caddison carries are forgeries.
They're expertly done, forgeries.
I'm sorry, but the words of a thief catcher and an accountant is all well and good, but I'm going to need a bit more before I do something that can be interpreted as an act of war from the Jargon Empire upon the kingdom of Great Grand Princedom of Damaria.
What could you need?
If our knights attack someone wearing the uniform of Damaria, questions will be asked.
Well, we do know and have evidence that it is a forgery, for start. So they are already breaking the law in that degree.
Having the forgery would without a doubt help. If I could see it and, well, keep it when the questions are asked.
So there is that, and the fact that they are most likely here to... They would be informed of the artifact. Maybe they are the buyers. I think so.
Why would a band of, as you say, brigands and ruffians want a demonic artifact?
If they know a better buyer.
That is, of course, true.
And they would
That is,
know.
of course, true.
They would know who to sell to.
I would say that is not impossible. I had not considered that option.
I believe the crux of the matter here was, as you say, needing that document. Using my memory, I tried to remember the last time we saw that document. It was in the hands of the lieutenant as he was about to talk to the abbot, but then, of course, put back on his person when he went back to camp.
Exactly.
They have been looking for the abbot for quite a while, so there is something very personal. Either they were just interested in his personal estates, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were informed themselves of his other business. I don't know if the first step would just be to acquire the artifact and see it out of here, or if it would be to deal with the ruffians.
If the artifact is of the nature that you suspect, then it should not just be acquired, it should be destroyed.
Quite true. That's why we will...
of Dark and Milagon.
Would you have the capability of such?
Yes, not with us, but we can bring it back to our headquarters, and then we have quite proficient people who can make sure it's destroyed properly, so that it can never be won.
Is this your utter intention with the artifact?
Yes, of course. Well, something else would be...
I try to detect lies.
Yeah, sure.
19.
21.
She's also omitting something. She's probably not going to destroy the artifact, but do something else with it. You can also tell that she's not completely informed on what's going on, as, a subordinate.
So what happened to your captain, or your actual leader?
Sir Scarensis has fallen ill, food poisoning, we believe. My colleague Giffone is inside now, giving him a bit of refreshments, so...
Interesting. So, is there any chance that we could talk to Sir Scarensis?
Well, we hope it's food poisoning, but he's sweating and, you can try, but he'll most probably just vomit all over you, which is...
Alright, I'll take that.
Times, no?
I'll be happy to still.
Does he show any sensitivity to light?
Light hurt his eyes, he said, yes. He's not...
Has he been eating anything?
Oh, yes, mostly drinking. He can't keep much down, no. But why... Why do you...
No, it's just that there have been rumors, so I'm pretty sure you've heard of them as well.
There's always rumors.
As I said before, given the history of this country...
Let's not be absurd here.
It's just out of concern, of course.
He's a trusted knight for many years of the Great Order of Arvon's Hammer. We have done many things together. He has done great service to the Lord, to the Church. Let's not be absurd.
Alright, well, let's see if there's any chance of having a word with him at all. I don't suspect him.
Absolutely, I don't think you will get much out of him, but
That's
sure.
fine.
It would be frightful if this really is a weapon of this magnitude you're talking about, and it would end up in the hands of a cult of Lamia followers.
Oh, the Lamias. That organization of vampires, they perished centuries ago.
I kind of discreetly keep my eye on Carmilla when we speak of this, just to see how she reacts.
To this, I seem very interested about the whatever condition that the captain... I'm very curious about the condition of him, and that they say it's food poisoning, but now I'm almost more interested in what you were saying. But still, now as we turn away from that, I seem to be keen on seeing him.
Alright, Kilima gestures towards the large tent. And you walk inside, you can see another squire, not in armour, but you can see the armour just beside her, sitting there reading a book. Much older than Kilima, and says, yes, welcome, my name is Giffone, I heard your conversation.
Thank you, Giffone.
Just be careful in there.
I see. Do you have a medicus with you in this little group?
Well, I'm trained somewhat, but no more than basic first aid, unfortunately.
You've only found that he has been... You think it's food poisoning. How long has it been going on?
2 days.
2 days?
We hoped that we would be here just over the day, honestly. So we don't have a medicus with us.
I start approaching him and just to examine the sort of first symptoms that I can see.
Yes, you walk into the second room of the tent, and you see a small bed on which a person lies, without armor and with a blanket rolled up to his neck, and he's very pale and looks like he's sweating. He's a very handsome young man, otherwise, maybe 30 at the most.
What a shame.
His hair is very greasy as it is. And he looks like he's sleeping at the moment. You can see a bucket right next to the bed, and you can see a little tray with a goblet and a bottle next to it.
Okay. I'll start examining him very slowly, just to see if there are any symptoms of poisoning or anything.
Just please be careful. He's finally asleep.
Very good. I move in as carefully and as quietly as I can to go down and start to sort of just trying to just get a first examination.
You can roll for... you said specifically you're looking for poison.
I'm looking for poisoning.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'm looking for other signs.
So 13.
You're quite positive that if it's poisoning, not something you know, and you know quite a lot about poisons.
Yes.
So...
I smell the things on the tray and the food and
the things on the tray smells a lot like iron. Very strongly. But you can't really pick up anything else.
Iron? Not like blood?
Slightly like blood, you would say, but like old and dried blood.
Is it in a cup or what is it?
Well, it's a goblet, wooden goblet, and then it's a bottle next to it.
With any substance in
the
it?
bottle doesn't smell like blood; it smells like wine.
Yeah. Okay then. So is there any substance in them, or is it just dried patches of?
It's just a few drops left in the bottom of the goblet. And the wine bottle is like half full of red wine.
Mm-hmm. Okay then. I sort of take out my finger through it and I rub it through and see it's flaking. I suppose like.
It's sort of flaking, yes, but it could just be old something.
I look up at Father Lagronius, who has accompanied me in, and I say, well, I don't detect any direct symptoms of poisoning. What could you make out of this?
Do you have anything shiny on you?
Shiny? I have a little pouch of things in. I look through them. What could I have that could be shiny?
Maybe a polished coin, perhaps?
Yes.
Something you're looking for?
I take up a coin that doesn't look completely polished and I rub it against me. Shiny like this?
No, just I take the coin and I kind of hold it over his head, over his mouth to see if there's any breathing or.
You can't really say. It's a bit dark in here, of course, but you can't. Now that you think about it, the blanket seems to be hindering his breathing as well, so you can't really see his chest moving either.
Barely any respiratory activity at all.
Maybe it's just
if any.
Maybe it's just very ill. And I lift up the goblet. It smells like he's been drinking blood.
You have heard the rumors.
Of course I have. That's why I'm saying it. But isn't that a strange thing?
You know they talk of rumors quite high up in the society as well.
It's quite far out of my jurisdiction.
The older squire, Cifone, looks inside the room with you where you were and says, well, do you find anything interesting? I thought you were medically trained.
Indeed. Well, there appears to be no signs of poisoning.
That's a relief, at least.
Quite possible what you say, that there is indeed been some sort of food poisoning going on. He seems in a very weakened state.
He seems awfully pale, I'd say.
Yes, almost. But have you noticed any change does he usually feel better during the night, or does it come and go? How is it?
What are you implying?
Just curious, because sometimes...
He's been walking at most from his bedside to his latrine twice a day.
Yes.
Otherwise he's been asleep. Or, well, trying to sleep.
Sleeping just through days and nights, basically.
Well, he's been vomiting as well.
Did you notice
to keep his food down?
Did you notice anything that happened just before these conditions started? His symptoms?
No. Should I have?
Well, there possibly is a reason for them, and it's just strange that no one else has seemed to have caught it. But no, doesn't seem to be anything specific that I can make at this point, Albert.
He seems to be in need of rest.
Yes, and so we have to assume that you will try and acquire this artifact which was spoken of, and that the knight here Tuscarensis is going to be the one bringing it back then to your...
Well, that's the plan. He is, after all, in charge of this small company.
I've been silent for a while as I allowed the others to do all this investigating. Curious to me, but I confess it wasn't really my skill set. But now I speak again. Seems to me then, for now, we have some idea what to do next. We would like to assist you in, of course, having your actual search. After all, the abbot seemed to imply that you had already done so, and that was part of our initial opinion of your intentions here. Now we know you haven't actually searched properly. It would, of course, be in all our interests to find this artifact. The question now is, should we do that now, or would it be more prudent to get that proof and maybe have it ready in case we needed your assistance in other matters?
We would be happy to do the search immediately if it's possible. We still have a few hours of light, hopefully.
So let's let them have the search over with. I can prepare dinner for us, and we hopefully get that sorted.
We can also see how Veruca is doing. After all, she may have found something completely different that could be further justification for your assistance. What say you, Father?
Possibly.
Yes, we should get back to the monastery.
Excellent. I will tend to our company. We will be arriving in probably a quarter of an hour at the most. Excellent. And Chifona stretches out her hands to shake.
I shake her hands.
You can all roll alertness. You don't shake.
No, I bow my head, but I don't shake.
Vow of chastity, Father?
I
13, check. Does anyone else get above 12?
23, yes, I think so.
23 as well.
You all notice as she stretches out her hand that when she overreaches a bit towards you, Astor, you can see that just under her tunic, she has a tourniquet that is bloody, just over her wrist.
I grip the hand tightly, smile, and look to Carmilla as Carmilla shakes the hand as well. But I say nothing.
Very quick look there, yes.
I saw that as well.
Oh yes, the difficulty was 12 and you got 13. You leave the tent and straight back to the monastery, I suppose?
We are walking to the monastery as I remark, I didn't quite understand everything you two were doing in there, but I gathered something. I trust you all saw an interesting wound on our friend there? What does that mean?
There was dry blood in the goblet. If I weren't, well, not very interested in these sort of matters, I would almost have said that she had drained her own blood into a goblet to feed it to the knight captain. Wouldn't that be an odd thing to do?
Yes. As you might know, Damarian was once ruled by Lamias.
I am aware of the stories,
And they were, supposedly, eradicated. What if some of these vile lords took measures to ensure his preservation into the future? And that is what has happened here. This mirror might be a vessel.
Oh, and they are trying to set
someone has mistakenly opened it.
What do you mean? That the captain has seen it?
That the captain is a Lamia. I'm sure of it.
Forgive me, Lamias. How does this work? Was he always a Lamia? Has he become a Lamia?
He might be possessed
And he has seen
by
the mirror?
this ancient spirit. I'm not. I couldn't even begin to fathom the intricate workings of Lamia and their magics and their vile.
I feel we need to very quickly get to Veruca. We need all of us on this. We only have a short time because the question now is, oh my goodness, what are we going to let a Lamia get this thing? That to me does not sound good. Have we just helped them do that? I am concerned. Let us hurry back to Veruca quickly and get her opinion.
you are going at quite a brisk pace back to the tent, back to Veruca. But before you return, Veruca, you are doing the most exhilarating thing in this scenario, bookkeeping.
I've been like cozying it up. We live in a tent, right?
Yes, exactly. You haven't actually lived in it yet, you've just been there.
Yeah, I've been there, but I made it a home. I have some blankets, and I have a little bag, and I have this candle, and I've been whistling while unpacking my things, and putting my knife here.
Make it cozy.
And then I get to work.
All right. The books, you can notice quite obviously, are not the same sort of bookkeeping. The new one, the one that you saw the abbot actually writing, and he read from one and wrote in the other, you can see that he actually is omitting quite a lot and rearranging numbers, and it looks a bit more legit, so to speak. And if you go back to the start of the original book, the one that he copied from, you can see that there's a lot of going in and going out, marked with a lot of small initials. I would say you actually need to roll to get more than that. It's obviously something fishy going on.
Of course.
Law would be good.
Yeah. Do we
calculate? Probably, yeah.
I calculate. I'm better at calculations.
Yes.
I have 4d6 plus 3. But in Eon, you have these focus dices. Do we have them as well?
Yes, you do. You have 5 in total.
Right.
You can spend 1 focus to get a bonus die to roll, and you can regain them by playing up your characteristics, which you've all done tremendously, I would say.
Then I will get 2.
Yes, that costs you 3 focus.
Uh,
20?
Yeah.
That's more than the difficulty of 18, so you succeed. And you've been everywhere. You know some of these initials, and you remember, didn't I see that guy? That must be that person. I was there. He was suddenly very rich. Why was that so? Why was the Bishop of Miron so keen to recommend this practically nobody to start a new monastery? That's becoming an abbot is quite a high position in the church. Some money has definitely changed hands. The bishop has been bribed for a recommendation. And you go even further back and you can see that the abbot has been spending money like crazy to keep his own parish. He's been moving out a bit, so different parishes, quite lavish churches, keeping his own person in, good trim, nice clothes, so forth, and also strategically making sure that people who are just above him in power are given certain gifts so that they like him. And this has, of course, culminated with giving him his own monastery, but giving the pace of everything, you don't think he plans to stay here. He plans to climb further up the ladder of the church. You can't really see where all this money comes from, but you don't think it's from a legal place.
So he's spending the money.
He's spending a ton of money.
And who recommended him for being abbot?
That was the Bishop of Miron.
The Bishop of Miron. Do we know him? No, I don't know him.
No. He's one of 3 bishops in the country, and you can see in the bookkeeping that he's been given quite a substantial cash gift. Right before the recommendation came. Suspicious timing, you would say.
Yeah, and maybe it doesn't say like the Bishop of Miron, it only says this is in the initials XBX, but
exactly.
How many people do have XBX?
There's a few initials there. You remember, you were actually traveling by that time. You remember the bishop saying something. He did have a huge party there at the end of Lent. Yeah, you remember things here. That's very suspicious.
What could be possibly the next step for the abbot? If he wants to climb further, because...
actually, the Bishop of Targus, in the other end of the country, rather old. Probably is going to step down soon or, die while on the job. Not impossible that the dear abbot, aims for the bishop's chair. Maybe even aims higher, becoming Well, the Primord is called in the Dark Church, but the Pope would be the best analogue. Given his very quick career, his climbing the ladder, as I said, is a rather fast pace, not impossible. If he can keep the money coming in.
Right. Well, for me, this is sufficient evidence enough that something is wrong.
You have evidence of bribery.
Yeah. And so
abundance of bribery.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's at this point that all three of us hurriedly arrive. I come in, adjusting my cloak. Right. Veruca, what have you found?
What have you found? Have you tried to outrun your shadow? What's going on?
Well, I look to the other two.
I immediately start heading over to start cutting up some bread and make some bread and cheese and something, a little snack perhaps, before everything deteriorates.
I look a little incredulously at Carmilla and then turn my attention to the father. Perhaps you could explain.
Did you speak to Scarensis?
Yeah, well, no. He was indisposed, so to speak, and even though we are not entirely sure yet, there are signs of...
We believe, at least the father and even Carmilla believe, that the commander of these knights is now at least, Lamia himself.
That's intriguing. I never met a Lamia. Once I fought a bounty hunter called a Lamia, but that was in Asharia. But how can he wasn't actually a Lamia, so it really bugged me out when I eventually met him. But how can the head of Inquisition be this?
We believe if they are after this mirror, as it were, perhaps the mirror itself, again I'm not an expert on these things, is a conduit or something that can turn people into Lamias, and maybe
or the other way around.
Explain?
That might be why they're still here. They want to save him.
Is that possible?
I don't know, actually. But anything should be... I mean, if one is willing to accept Dark's grace and truly repent, then of course he will not let his followers down. Of course.
I start handing out small bits of bread and cheese and dried fruit between all of us.
I just take more hard bread and water.
I'm not sure. This is the Lord's main concern. Surely a big mirror of demonic origin. Maybe yes, that would be a powerful enough artifact to save this person if he now is in such a dreadful condition.
This is merely speculating, of course. We don't know their true purpose.
Can such items be easily destroyed, do you know?
No, I heard that they're impossible to destroy. Remember, this war was, 2,000 years ago? And it survived all these years?
So if they find it...
How did they lose their power? How were they conquered?
They were conquered by Damar himself, the man from whom the country of Damaria is named, the mythological creator of the nation, and so on. But, I mean, way back when, they also say that Damar was 12 feet tall, that he spoke with fire in his lungs and could kill mountains with his bare hands, and, they say all sorts of things.
I pace back and forth a little. I'm really trying to get to the point what my lord would actually want. I know him very well, and at the end of the day, my concern is what he would want. We have a group of thieves, lawbreakers, that is an issue, but again, they can be dispersed or arrested another day, and we have the demonic issue. Do I have any idea what he would think of this situation right now?
He would not want bloody conflict, or at least not bloody conflict that ends with him looking bad, he would say. The monastery is important to him. The abbot, maybe not so much, just that having a monastery like this is, it's prestige in it, and he's invested quite a bit, giving gifts and so forth, the land, for example. It would be very bad if the monastery in any way is destroyed or suffers damage. So you have quite discerned that the soldiers are not his men. What happens to them? Don't care. Probably better that they are made an example of. So But the knights, you have no idea what he would think of vampires, Lamias. That's just so out of the blue that it's never come up before.
I take a moment to collect myself. I do actually have very good self-control, so if I maybe look frazzled for a moment, it is only a moment. I turn to you all. The important thing here is to, as Camilla is suggesting, obey our Lord's will. The brigands are brigands. They need to be taken care of one way or the other, although the timing of that doesn't necessarily need to be immediate as long as they are eventually captured, apprehended, or chased out. That is them done. The situation with the knights, I am uncertain of. I do know that whatever we do, we need to try and at least protect the monastery itself. The abbot has committed many crimes, and he needs to pay for those. What is the best way? Getting the abbot to pay for his crimes, keeping at least the brigands out of the way for now, and, I don't know, maybe assisting these knights. If maybe they are trying to do a good thing, then maybe we assist them with that. What do we all think?
I would want to know what Lord Olam's purpose is. What's his take on all this? I mean, to be honest, I think we all have heard rumors around the court about his own interest in things like this.
Have I? I look at you very carefully and go...
Both our looks intersect towards you as you say this.
I'm very interested to hear these rumors. Do tell, Father.
We do not really have time for it. They're on their way now.
We have a moment for this. Do tell, Father.
Well, of course, there have been talk about a Lamia cult in the court of Lord Olam, and that your precious lord is part of it.
Oh, really? And who told you that? I get my notebook out.
Does it matter?
Incredibly.
Just, can't you just rely on my...
No. Think about it this way, Father. You are implying something that could very well imply... I look around the room. Connotations. Come, quick. A simple name will do. I, after all, know everyone in his court.
But you don't know this, Astor? This is the first you've heard of it?
I pause for a moment. I look to Veruca. I have never heard of such a claim in all my years of service.
I want to roll detect lies.
What do I roll?
This is something that challenged, well, basically the very core of your being, so I think you should roll self-control, honestly.
Very well.
13.
22.
You managed to keep your composure, and you feel that you can't possibly... This is a stone face, almost literally. Nothing here is coming out, but you can also feel that something is bubbling on the inside. Probably anger, I would say.
Yes. Can I detect lies?
Absolutely. Roll high.
I am actually just using my piercing gaze.
Piercing gaze.
To assess my dear Asta here. 16.
16 to your 13, that's 1. You can feel the chaplain's piercing gaze pinning you almost through the wall of the tent, but you don't crack easily. You've been in worse situations before, and after all, what is a priest compared to the things you have seen?
I have seen terrible things, and they may be stronger.
But you're also certain that this might not be an ordinary priest, in case you haven't guessed already.
So then...
I'm actually quite... I think I'm...
You think you would like to step back?
I'm hoping to be a bit disarming, so I'm gonna roll for agreeable to be like...
Of course.
And maybe in that way make him mistakenly reveal something.
And maybe then I go for cause doubt. Because if I actually can convince you that I really do not know, maybe that will get you to open
Absolutely! So a barrage of niceties from the chaplain, and... oh dear.
12.
Play out the scene, I would say. You try to undermine the self-confidence of the priest, but the barrage of niceties quite obviously triumphs.
Very well. Well, I kind of feel that I have gotten the information I wanted from the situation, as he seems to speak the truth.
Yes, unless you would like to add some twists to the story at this point.
No, I think I honestly have told the truth, but maybe, at your such... the priest's dedication to things, I have been starting to doubt that maybe he's not suspicious in the way I thought he was, and maybe I betray that maybe I have made a mistake and don't know.
I smile and nod, and I'm calmly say that, dear Esther, I believe you are true, and I thank you for your honesty.
Well, thank you, Father. Come. Who are you? At this point, some honesty would be appreciated. I am willing to admit, maybe I have been wrong on you. I'm thinking... you are not just a humble priest, are you? Are you a hunter of some kind, or... Father, do you work for the Inquisition?
Yes, I do. I was sent here to investigate these rumors about Lord Orlan, and if he was really taking part in
So, if I may, I can guarantee you on our side that for both me and Asto, that we are telling the truth in that the Lord does not want bloodshed. He wants the monastery to be preserved and the conflicts to be solved as smoothly as possible for now, and that all parties leave in peace. And that is all. No interest in artifacts, no interest in getting money out of the situation or anything else.
Veruca, while this conversation has getting more and more heated and complicated, you can hear on the outside of the tent both people running rather fast. Monks and friars are trying to get out of the way, while you can also hear the steadfast marching of boots on mud, while the knights and the Avon's hammer are coming closer and closer and closer, and you would guess you have maybe a minute at the most.
I think the time for solving this peacefully is over, and that bloodshed is coming.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played The Monastery's Lament for Aeon. Aeon is published by our friends at Helmgast. Our game master was Pontus Kjellberg, and we were also joined by Jenny Bremberg and Emanuel Perpåls. The music was created by Northumbria, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their YouTube channel, or cryochamber.bandcamp.com for more music for your table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, and David for their generous support. And we would of course like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and see you soon again.